Welcome to Imperfect Momming. Our children are constantly looking to us for examples. The term role model doesn't quite cut it here. We are shaping their worldview with every move we make. You see, it's not in the lectures we give or moments where we are actively attempting to teach them. It's in the micro movements we make, the unconscious ways in which we navigate life. We are constantly teaching our children how to show up for themselves, their friends, their future partners, and even their future children. So what can we do to ensure we are raising thoughtful, compassionate, self-aware human beings? We have to become them ourselves. No one is perfect, but we can still all be better, and it starts with self-healing. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Imperfect Momming, and we have a very special guest today, Michelle, and I'm going to let you say your last name.
Urbanski.
Urbanski, there we go. It looks like an Urbanski, but you never know.
Yep.
Welcome to Imperfect Momming.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So tell us just a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So I am a certified holistic healthcare practitioner. I specialize in basically all things motherhood, particularly with fertility, and supporting fertility health naturally. Basically identifying any kind of factors that could be preventing pregnancy.
And you got interested in this before you became a mom, right?
Yes. Yes.
And then, because I think you said that you had like an intuitional thing that it might be a struggle for you. Is that,
yeah.
You tell a little bit of your story?
Yeah. So I have struggled with my health for a long time, number of years. And when my husband and I decided we wanted to start a family, I kind of started thinking to myself that I didn't think my health was in the right place for that. Because I wanted to be healthy, when I got pregnant, and or as healthy as possible, and be confident with my pregnancy. So I decided to basically take a look into the natural health world. I found that conventional medicine wasn't supporting me. It was just like medication after medication, and that made me concerned that, could this medication affect pregnancy or that medication affect pregnancy? There's not a lot of studies on a lot of medications and how they impact pregnancy. So it was a concern, and after finding the practitioner that I still continue to see because she's so great, my intuition proved to be correct in that the concerns I had about my health would have probably impacted my fertility, because when she started to do her intake, as we say, she discovered, and one of the things that came up in my report was that my female reproductive system was stressed. And was overworked. So that was just, a sign that, my intuition was telling me something was off and I needed to get it checked out and figured out before, trying to get pregnant. So, so trusting that intuition is a huge part of being a mom, but also just, being women and, learning how to live day by day and all of that. So.
Yeah, we have intuition, like they call it a woman's intuition for a reason. And I think that we either ignore it or don't know that we're not in tune enough to know what it's telling us. And so we don't do what it tells. Like, I don't know if this is intuition, but I swear, like I'll have moments where I'm like, oh, I should grab my keys. And then I walk out the door and I'm around doing something. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, I need my keys. It's like you have the thought, or I have the thought, I dismiss the thought. And then it's like, oh, I did need the thing, right?
Yep, exactly. Yes, that happens a lot.
who knows if that's intuition or not, but like, I love that you had that intuitional hit, and decided to look into it, and then, ultimately kind of made a career out of it, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because now I'm so excited about helping other women, and couples too, because fertility goes both ways.
Yeah.
So, we need that support from both sides. So, yeah.
Now, this was interesting to me for two reasons, selfishly. So the first reason is that it took a year and a half for me to get pregnant with my son. And I'm a very impatient person. And so waiting a year and a half was just torture.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
there are so many women who wait years to have babies and sometimes never get to that point. Our fertility issues, I think, were because my husband was using a laptop on his lap. And it was like, probably, I think I was maybe 3 to 6 months pregnant at the time. We were watching a show called Manswers, and it's answers to the question that men ask. And one of the questions was, can having a laptop on your lap mess with your sperm count? And the answer was yes. And I started doing some math where my husband broke his laptop around April and I got pregnant around June. And the show said that it takes about 3 months for the sperm count to come back to get back to normal. And then I was pregnant and I'm like, that, like, I didn't know, but I was like, that had to have been it. Like, it went from 3 months later, like, what? That's totally not a coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, so it sounds like you had that intuition too, then.
Yeah, it was
That
all
was
like,
it.
it was all backwards thinking. Like, I got the information and it was in the pattern, then I connected the dots, but maybe it was intuitional too. But like, I didn't change anything. I wasn't doing anything differently. And then that also, the being impatient made me want to be a surrogate, because like I said, I was impatient and I waited a year and a half to get pregnant. And it's like, God forbid having to wait 10 years. Like, my a girlfriend I've mentioned on the podcast before, she's gone through every kind of trial and tribulation, and she's expecting her son, if he's not born already, any day now. And
Oh, that's so amazing.
yeah, so she went through surrogacy as well, and she picked my brain about it. And so that's why I was uniquely interested in what you do.
Yeah.
Is there something is there like a thing that affects like 90% of women? I'm trying to phrase the question properly, so you but is there something that we should be looking out for as women that it affects more than something else, or is it all just depending on the person?
Yeah, and in my kind of experience, I've seen that it just ranges. There's so many different things that it could be, and that's why, like, having somebody that can identify those things, because it is difficult sometimes to figure out what it is, because there's so many factors to it. Like you said, like, waiting a year and a half causes a lot of stress, just in general. Um, you know, and I think that, at least I know from my experience growing up, it always seemed like becoming pregnant was going to happen so easily and you needed to be so careful, And so when you hear people, having trouble, you're like, wait a minute, that's not how I thought it was going to happen. So then, it kind of brings up those concerns in your mind. Could there be something wrong? I remember even asking my mom, like, did you have trouble getting pregnant? Or, you know, and just kind of opening that conversation too, because I think as women, you know, at least in history, it hasn't really been something that you talk about, because there's emotions attached to it. I think, you know, that's part of it.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it's different for everybody, from what I've experienced. You know, I will say, one thing I definitely would recommend looking out for is taking the right prenatal vitamins.
Mm.
There's about 60% of the population that has trouble processing folate. And when we take prenatals with folic acid, if we're not very good at processing that, you know, it could lead to issues getting pregnant, or, you know, frequent miscarriages. So that's something that I would say is really important.
So how would somebody go about finding out if they're one of the 60%?
You can you can get genetic testing done, but you can also, you know, do testing like bioenergetic assessment, which is something that I do with my clients. So I would say those are the two ways to really know uh, what's going on, and if you have that.
Interesting. Yeah. So I know that there's certain multivitamins in general that you don't. Now, this is coming from the information that I got from Melaleuca. They have I don't know if you're familiar with that. They're a wellness company. Yeah. They have a multivitamin that I took in all of my pregnancies that has oligo, which was patent pending the last time I watched the video, but that helped helped your body absorb it more than other vitamins. And so I never thought about whether or not there were certain vitamins that your body just couldn't absorb in general. And so that's really interesting to learn that.
Yeah, and that's also why I recommend, or all the supplements I use are whole food based, because our body can absorb food nutrients much easier than synthetic vitamins. And there's a lot of vitamins out there that are made from things that our body can't process. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's important.
It's crazy the things that are FDA approved and that the FDA doesn't even really care about at all. And I think multivitamins is on there, like where they're not really designed to filter out stuff. And so you can almost say anything is in these capsules, like, and
Right.
they're not stopping it. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So let's see, what question do I want to ask?
I know there's so many things that can be asked, and so many directions we could go.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm fascinated with a lot of the things that you do. Like, I mean, fertility issues. You brought up a point that I wanted to talk about. Actually, was like, you know, we don't talk about it. It's literally like, be careful because you might get pregnant. And when there's really like, isn't it like 20% chance of getting pregnant? It's like a super small window. But then when you're trying to get pregnant, everyone and their mother is getting pregnant. Right. Everyone and their 16-year-old daughter is getting pregnant. And it's so frustrating.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I remember when I was trying and I was right in the middle of the frustration period, that I, back in the day when we didn't really log on to Facebook on our phones as much, we all logged in on the computer, and my sister had logged in to her account on my computer, and somebody popped up in my news feed. I thought it was my news feed, it was hers, but somebody popped up in her news feed and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm 8 weeks pregnant. Can you see my belly, my baby bump? And I was like, delete. I'm not going to deal with you for another 32 weeks. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that is something, it's hard, like when you're trying to conceive and then you're, especially when it's been a while and you feel like there could be a concern and you're seeing other women, you know, getting pregnant. As much as you want to be happy for them, it's still difficult to deal with, you know?
so you all like, there's a window of time where most people get pregnant when they're trying. So it's like somewhere between, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, 6 months to a year, where most people who are trying, they get pregnant in that window.
Yes.
Should someone be concerned before a year, like you, or just listen to their intuition? What is your thought process?
I think you could go a number of ways with this. I, at least from my experience, I recommend really taking a look at your health before trying to conceive, because when you do that, you can really kind of open up those areas where there may be some need for nutrients, and that ultimately helps with egg health, right? Because they say that it takes 90 days to really get those eggs in good condition. So if you are, you know, trying to conceive and 90 days before that, maybe you were lacking some type of nutrient, or maybe the sperm, your husband or your partner, like maybe the sperm was not, you know, forming properly. Maybe it was missing some nutrients there. That can affect, you know, pregnancy success. It can affect, you know, the health of the fetus and the baby in the future. So I would say starting before is good, but you know, I would say also that you know, you can never really look at it late, right? So if you're already trying to conceive and you're like, I feel like, you know, maybe I'm not ovulating or maybe XYZ, then yeah, I would definitely recommend like just finding somebody that could help you identify if there could be an issue. So yeah, so it just kind of varies, I think, from person to person.
So in a perfect world, we would all get healthy first.
Right.
And
or at
then
least
try to have babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, I mean, I'm looking back now, like that's the thing, one of the things I talk about a lot is mom guilt. And this is a thing that creates it, is the coming from your current perspective and putting your current perspective back on to who you were, you know, in my case, 10 years ago, and judging the ever-loving crap out of her.
Yeah.
For not doing what you did, which is get healthy and then get pregnant. And, you know, the person that I am now would have done different things to would have been more on your path, where I would make sure that, you know, I'm getting healthy, and I would get tested, to genetically tested and do all these things, that whatever you would recommend, like that's what I would do then. That's what I would do now. And that's what that's what I would judge myself for not doing then. And so I wanted to bring that up to say it out loud for myself, but also for anybody who's listening, who is pregnant now or has a child that, you know, maybe like they don't know what causes autism. They don't know what causes a lot of genetic things. And there could be things that we could do to prevent it, you know, what's the word? Getting pregnant.
Yeah, preconception.
Preconception. Thank you. It's like, I know there's a word, but there's preconception. There's a lot of things that we could do. And if your child is, not air quotes perfect physically, it doesn't mean that it's your fault. It just, that's part of their path. That's part of, their journey in life and your journey with them.
Yeah.
So are you someone who can work with anyone worldwide or anyone in the United States, or are you local to your business? Like, is your business local to what you do?
So I can support anybody living in the United States. All of the testing and everything can be done, in whatever state you're in. Basically, I require a hair sample, and that helps me run the bioenergetic assessment. So that's just mailed. And then all the supplements will come directly to you from, the companies that they're ordered from. So I support anybody in the 50 states, and I have like a telehealth portal. It's like an app, and we do like virtual appointments. So
really cool. I was asking again for selfish reasons, but because our listeners are not all local to your town, so
yep.
So but yeah, I'm curious. Like I want to do these kinds of tests. I'm super interested, and I'm working on going through my 4th surrogacy journey. So I'm looking to get matched and ready to, I've been ready to be pregnant since I gave birth to the last one. Like,
yeah,
there's about a week where I was like, nah, I'm done. And then I was like, nope, I'm ready.
Yeah. It is it's amazing experience. And that's definitely why, like, I want to support, women who want to become pregnant, because as you know, it's amazing to be pregnant. Just to know there's life inside of you. It's just an amazing process, so it's cool stuff.
So is there a piece of advice that you would want to give to moms?
I think kind of going back a little bit to what you said about, try to avoid feeling guilty. Like if your child is struggling, health wise, it's not, like you said, it's part of their journey, and it's part of our journey too, because we're raising them. So I think we have to remember that it's the little things in life that are important as a mom, because I know at least I do. I get caught up in like all of the things that I have to do, my checklist, and I forget to remember those small moments.
Mm-hmm.
Like just last night I was holding my daughter and I was like, oh, I just need to just savor this moment because I feel like she's growing up so fast, So, and those are things I think we need to remember as parents, as moms. Yeah.
And even today, my son got home and got off the bus, and I was in the middle of doing work, and he's talking to me, and I'm like, while I'm doing work, and I'm like, he's really trying to connect with me right now, and I'm and that's hurtful when you're a kid. Like,
yeah.
They know you're not listening. They know you're not present. And it's like, and that to me is my intuition. The fact that I'm paying attention to the fact that I'm going, like that's my intuition saying, hey, pay attention.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad that you're like realizing like they're not going to be this. She's your daughter, right? You said daughter.
Yep.
That she's not going to be this age forever. And like, I think back to a lot of the time when my son was 6 months and under. I could have done 6 weeks and under for the rest of my life because he was so easy. He was such an easy baby. And then like around 6 months, he started to move on his own, and that, but I still really enjoyed that time. And I don't think that I started not enjoying being a mom until like at the point where I was going through a divorce. And, I remember I was like, this is not what I signed up for. I did not sign up to do this by myself. And I was really resentful for a long time. And I know like there's part of me that would love to do those years over again, because I look at videos and pictures and, oh, he's just so stinking cute.
Yeah.
And I was so busy being resentful because this is not how I planned it, or this is not what I wanted. And it's like, tough nuggies. This is what you get, figure out. And if I could tell my younger self, it'd be like, figure it out sooner, because I eventually figured it out. But
yeah, it's hard sometimes. It's hard.
and that's not from a judgment place. That's from an advocacy place. Like, figure it out sooner.
Yeah.
Your kids are only this age once. And if there's something that's holding you back from just loving on them 110%, like, figure it out as soon as possible. And I'm actually surprised I could say that without tears. Like,
yeah.
Like, and it's because it comes from advocacy and not from judgment. Like, I'm not judging my younger self or earlier version of myself. I'm like, I implore you, figure it out. Yeah. Sooner, you will be so glad, and again, if you could do it before becoming a mom, you're not listening to this podcast, but if you could figure it out before being a mom. So what is there a book that was really transformational or helpful for you?
Yeah, so I have a book here. It's called Spiritual Fertility by Julie Vaughn. And it's really an amazing book. She really goes into, the spiritual aspects of trying to conceive. And I think it's something I recommend to my clients because it really hits home with that whole kind of saying that I say. It's like, motherhood begins the moment you start wanting to become a mom, because it's that mindset of how can I get ready for this life, so.
Yeah, there's that saying that when a baby is born, so is a mom. And it's like, and I think that what you just said it hits the nail on the head a lot more, that like, you're a mom before you're even or when you start trying, or when you start thinking about it, like if that's really what you want out of life, like, start thinking of yourself as a mom now and start treating your body as if you're carrying that baby now, and it'll have, you'll have an easier time getting pregnant. You'll have an easier, parenting's not easy. Motherhood's not easy, but the more things that you can do to, the more tools you can put in your toolbox, the better.
Yep.
And that sounds like a really great book that would even be interesting to me.
yeah, definitely take a look.
Absolutely. So where can our listeners find you?
So I have a website. It's www.reviveforyourhealth.com, and you can go on there. I'm in the process of making some changes to it, and offering like it's basically like a free fertility survey. So if you think there could be something going on, you can fill out that survey, and then I can be in contact with you with some free information. There's no strings attached to the information. It's just a chat to let you kind of know what's going on or what could be going on. So that's something I recommend.
Awesome. And I love that my printer decided that now is the moment to start printing, and I hit print like before you and I even started talking. So that's awesome.
That's funny.
So, well, thank you so much for this. Is all super fascinating to me, and I hope that it was, I'm sure that it was helpful to my listeners, because even if they're not currently trying to get pregnant, they for sure know somebody who is. So hopefully this is one of those episodes that gets passed around and share and listen, and you need to talk to this Michelle girl because she's got really good information. And I know somebody that's currently trying and might benefit from that book and from getting a little info from you. So
yeah, sounds great.
Yeah. So thank you again. And we will have another episode of Imperfect Momming for you next week. And until then, keep healing. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Imperfect Momming. It's time for us to step up and realize that our power is not in trying to shape our children. Our power lies in shaping ourselves into the people we want our children to model themselves after. Don't just do it for your kids. Do it for yourself. When you become a more self-aware, compassionate, and confident person, you and everyone around you benefit. For more information about me and my work, visit AliciaLyons.com. That's ALYSIALYONS.com. See you next time.